Hey guys, this is Najra from GosuGamers reporting still from the first day of Viagame House Cup. I'm joined here by Reynad, who's been through a long day of casting games. So man, how have you been doing House Cup Sweden? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's been cool so far. It was a bit of a party the first night. I felt kind of bad because Tides and I came from NA, so first thing we did is just passed out for 12 hours, and I got a phone call. We're like, oh man, we're leaving in 10 minutes, so I had to run through a 5-minute shower, show up to the party. Didn't have time to blow dry the hair, and there were girls here. It was.
This is probably the
goes through the dude. It's all about the hair, man. It's like my kryptonite, right? You don't have the 2 minutes to take care of that shit, then your mood for the rest of the day just plummets.
It's kind of sucks that the tournament starts on the wrong foot, then with a party and shit.
Exactly, yeah. We can talk about HearthStone too, though. I don't know. Yeah, casting's been fun. It's been all right. I like the whole gaming house vibe. It's fun. Yeah, people are cool. They're organizing it, and Videogame always has a good production. So yeah, happy to be here.
Okay, so you just recently came back from China. Obviously, a lot of traveling for you. Were at BlizzCon the previous week. So I want to talk about these events a bit. How was China for you overall? How did you prepare? Obviously, this was the biggest event so far in HearthStone outside BlizzCon.
Yeah, so the China event was basically the second event after the Buzzard and Leroy nerf. So the first event was the BlizzCon Europe qualifiers, stage 2. So the only information anyone had from decks is mostly from the BlizzCon qualifiers, and most people's decks and gameplay in that tournament was complete trash, including myself on some of the games. So there wasn't much info to go off of, right? So for WCA, I just kind of picked the classes that I knew were the best. I mean, I knew Druid. I knew Fast Druid was one of the best decks. I knew Warlock was the best class. I knew I wanted to play some variant of Rogue. We weren't really sure what the best version was at the time because there were 5 viable lists. And what was the last deck I ended up going? I ended up playing Priest, because Kalenta's list seemed really refined, and the deck seemed really strong against Hunter, which I expected to see a lot of. It's surprisingly good against Druid, and yeah. So also I played Hunter myself because I think it's one of the stronger classes. So yeah, I ended up going Hunter, Priest, Druid, Warlock, Rogue for that tournament. I played the aggressive Rogue deck, which I don't regret because honestly, a deck is phenomenal, even if my tournament results with it haven't. My tournament results with it just in the past few weeks I think have been positive, but. Yeah, first match was against Ecop in the group stage, so I was before that I was 2-0 lifetime in matches against Ecop, so I was like, yeah, okay, he's probably going to play the same crappy Paladin deck again that he always plays, and I'm going to beat it with a playable class. And instead he opened on Handlock, which was really unexpected because before the tournament started, I think a lot of people expected Hunter. It was the best class on ladder at the time. It's a class that every time it's a class that I've always played in a tournament for the past 8 months, and I've opened on it both times I played against Ecop. So for him to start on Handlock was really surprising for me. I expected him to play a control deck trying to beat my Hunter that he would expect, maybe something like Warrior or Paladin. So I ended up playing Priest myself, trying to beat his control decks, and he opened Handlock, and that matchup's unwinnable. And I feel like I played well that game, but he had the Giant. I didn't have a Shadow or Death in the first half of my deck, and I thought stole Owl Mortal Coil, but he didn't have Twilight Drake, so the things just didn't really line up well. And then the second game was maybe the least lucky I've ever been with Warrior with a Rogue aggro. Yeah, I literally hero powered on turn 2, turn 3, and turn 4, and turn 5. I want to say I hero powered 4 turns in a row to not have after mulliganing my entire hand except for the Undertaker. I mean, theoretically that can happen, but that should never happen. It was still close. He had the top deck a taunt off of Mortal Coil, and of course he hit because he's playing against Reynad. But yeah, and then I played a really fun series against Hunter Ming. There was really hard games. He had a Freeze Mage, or he had a Undertaker Mage deck that had a really cool game when I was playing Handlock, and he what was his other deck? It must have been Hunter or something. But yeah, those games were super close. It was really fun to play, and ended up winning that match barely. And then I played against Kungan, and the whole mouse thing happened. I had that interview where I explained, yeah, it was he was still ahead that game. He was probably maybe 60% to win, but I had 4 or 5 turns to draw kill command if that didn't happen. So a little frustrating, but whatever. So and then yeah, I won game 2 in a Handlock mirror. Game 3, I had the game 1, except he had a 25 to 30% chance to draw any 3 mana or cheaper beast. That was his only out, and he drew Web Spinner, so I died. I also had to brick on. I had a 25% chance to kill him off a life tap that turn, which I also bricked on. So it was a little annoying, but it's Hearthstone. Shit happens. I mean, it was best of 3, which is like the annoying part because I feel like in a best of 5, it's the chance of like losing to a player that makes a lot of mistakes is just astronomically lower. But yeah, it is what it is. So I wasn't like super happy with my result in China, but I'm glad to see that Gara was the only player from the West that moneyed, because honestly that it means more to Gara than it would have meant to me. So I'm glad. Like for the prize structure for that was basically well like first place got $1 million, second place got $500,000, third place got like $250,000, and then everyone else got nothing. That was like the structure. So Gara got third, played against RDU in the tiebreaker match for top 4, and yeah, he was, up until like the missing lethal, he played that tournament exceptionally, and he definitely deserved to be there. So I was happy for my teammate. Unfortunately, on the flight back, BlizzCon and A qualifiers happened, and I mean Tempo Storm has had, I think, consistently like the highest overall win percentage. We've just been like a very dominant team in the Hearthstone scene, and assuming you ignore my performances, because I'm more of a mascot, more of like a managerial role. But anyway, yeah, so I didn't really get we watched in the hotel room in China. We watched Hyped's game. He had like for that first game in the NA qualifiers. And then we fly to NA, and I didn't get to watch the rest of the qualifiers, but I look on Reddit, and apparently Hyped and Tides like both lost, and I was just like super disappointed because we're just not represented at BlizzCon after this point, even though the entire year leading up to that, I feel like those guys deserve to be there more than almost anyone. Like I'm glad Kalento and StrifeCrow advanced; those are great players, but like as a team, it's super disappointing. It's just like the only game we play, and to not advance past that was just really frustrating. I mean,
I think like this caught a lot of people by surprise, because I know like Hype and Tides were considered to be like the top dogs of BlizzCon NA, and like alongside StrifeCrow. And
I went back and watched the games, and to me it seemed like they played better than their opponents too. I just don't think like because it's Hearthstone, it doesn't matter most of the time. Like your opponent has to make such astronomically huge mistakes to throw a game that it's just like any incremental edge that you gain from making a better play is just so completely overshadowed by rolling the correct beast off of Animal Companion or Ragnaros flips. It's just like, yeah. So, I mean, anything can happen, and I don't think that skill's a great indicator of... while I do think like certain players in Hearthstone are so much more skilled than other players in Hearthstone, even among pros, I also think that like it gives them something like a 5% edge to win a tournament. So it's like very negligible to be a better player in this game.
Still, I think the played pretty well. I think like he brought Miracle Rock, which was obviously good against Tides. Brought Priest and Warrior, which is hard matchups I think to win against Rogue. So I don't think like he got any lucky. I think so.
Yeah, no, I think like the players at that tournament were good. The players that advanced deserved to advance, but like the Europe qualifier, the things that could be better about the structure. Like I think that any two players should be able to advance. Like Thighs had to play Kalento in the Europe qualifier, so one of them had to be eliminated. I don't think it should work that way. Like both players should hypothetically be able to advance, like with a different tournament structure where they could afford a loss in top 8, maybe.
So like a double elimination maybe for top 8.
Yeah, something like that. So yeah, because as it stands, the format they used, like the two best, if there are two players that are infinitely better than others and they get paired against each other, one of them just can't advance. So I don't think that's necessarily the best system. Yeah, other than that, BlizzCon, the Europe tournament was maybe, it was definitely the most disappointed I've ever been. Like, BlizzCon is the one tournament I actually cared about. It's the stage 1 of the BlizzCon qualifiers is the first tournament I prepared for in a year of playing competitive Hearthstone. Like, it was literally the first time I took 3 days off of streaming, sat down, and just practiced. And I made some damn good decks. Like, lots of players outside of our team used those exact decks for us. Tides was in WEC at the time, playing the earlier Chinese tournament, so he couldn't test with us. But it was me, Rekful, Hyped, Gara, mostly the 4 of us. KitKats was busy with something else. It was mostly us testing for stage 1, and we came up with the best decks in the format. And Tides came back. He wanted to play double Mind Control Tech Paladin. Friends don't let friends play Mind Control Tech. And yeah, he just ended up playing our lists, and he 5-0'd, and then I 5-0'd, and we were super confident, super prepared. And then unfortunately, the BlizzCon Europe qualifiers, I had to fly out like the day that the patch happened for Buzzard and Leroy. So the other 15 players in that top 16 got to play on ladder with the new patch and got to see like how the new cards affect the metagame, whereas I was just on a plane. So I just had to go into it cold, just assuming I knew what the format would look like. And I feel like my decks could have been better, but I don't feel like they were horrible decisions. I probably should have played like Freeze Mage instead of Giant Mage, but Giant Mage did its job. It got me my win. It got banned by Frezar, so I don't think it was a bad choice. But
a lot of people argue against the Aggro, I think, because you know, you say it's a good deck, but a lot of people think that it's actually bad for the format at the moment, and it was like maybe a poor deck choice on your part that, you know, cost you some of the games.
Maybe. I think that I played it against Mr. Yagut. If you go back and watch the specific games, I think against both players it won a game and then it lost a game. Yep. So it had like 50%. But anyway, against Mr. Yagut, I believe he had a double Armor Smith, double Unstable Ghoul opening, which then proceeded into double Sludge Belcher, which are like 6 out of his 6 relevant cards in his deck. And I was still within 2 points of damage of winning that game. So it was just like super... You know, that's like not a matchup that I think is astronomically favored for Rogue, but I think it is favored, and I think that he had like a near perfect draw, if not the perfect draw, so it was like not surprising that I lost that specific game. Against Frezar, again, I think I was within 2 points of lethal, and I think he was dead, but I think he needed to draw like a taunt on the last turn or something. I don't remember that specific game, what happened, honestly. It was really close, though. That's what I remember. But yeah, it was mostly against Frezar. So I fly there, right? I didn't get it on patch day. I didn't get a test at all. And then, so I was awake for like 24 hours traveling. And then since I flew late, I got there the day that we were playing games on day 1. So I had to like stay awake for another 8 hours. So I was awake for like 32 hours. I had to play my first match. Normally I think this would affect my play a lot, but I was actually like pretty happy with how I played on day 1. And then day 2 came along after I got some sleep and stuff. And I just played like shit. And it came out of nowhere, and I don't really know why, but yeah, I mean, part of it is like I drank, like I woke up, went to the event site after like 20 minutes, just slammed a bottle of water, and like halfway through the match, I had to go to the bathroom right before the Paladin game, and yeah, they couldn't, yeah.
These take like 1 hour,
yeah,
1 hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he literally roped 20 turns in a row, like. So I'm miserable at this point, you know, I really have to go. All of my turns are like, draw my card, play, end turn, and then he ropes, plays Stampeding Kodo, and then I take 1 second, play my turn, and then he ropes. And it's just like, over the course of that game, Paladin is a very favored deck against Druid, and I was on the Druid side, but my draw was going to beat him. It was a great draw. The cards were there to win. I was playing so quickly, I missequenced my stuff. I led with a Sunwalker into potential Black Knight. Should have played like the other 6-drop. It was like so, the win was there. And even in the handlock game, the win was there, but there was no like bathroom shenanigans there. I just made a stupid play when I didn't Soulfire into Blade Master, so it was disappointing for me because I feel like I almost never misplay with handlock, and that was the first time in so long. But that could definitely cost me the game. And of course, I mean, yeah, both players had a bunch of good top decks and all that, but like I should have won the match against Frezar. It's just if I played better, so that's on me. So I was like really disappointed in myself for losing that way. Because one of those tournaments where the draws were there, even though the games were difficult. Against Mr. Yagut, though, I feel like I played like perfectly. Not that my draws had like a lot of decisions. I feel like they were easy games to play from my side, but I was happy with how I played, and I think he should have lost that match 3-0 to Druid. But it was like a nearly unlosable board state, and then he played Gadgets. He drew Preparation on his turn, and then the next turn he goes Gadget, Preparation, second Preparation, into Fan of Knives, into Blade Flurry in that order, which was like the only sequence. It was the only sequence. So it's like, if we replay that game from that point, I win like 95 out of 100 times before those 2 turns, and it was a really disappointing way to lose that match. But I mean, you know, sometimes there's just a player that like luck is really on their side in a tournament, and they're just unbeatable because of that, and you know, like Wild Growth every game or something like that. You know, for that tournament, I feel like it was Mr. Yagut. Not that he's not a great player, but like, things were definitely falling in his favor. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, disappointing. That was the match I was more frustrated about, but realistically, I can't complain because I would have advanced had I played perfectly, so it's, like, still on me.
You bring up your, you know, bad results in tournaments, and it's something that I think most of the community expects you to do well because you're a vocal part of it. How do you yourself deal with, you know, bad results like tournaments? Like, you go home probably disappointed, but how do you recover for the next tournament when you get an invite or whatever?
I mean, for the first few, I just told myself, oh, you know, I'll rally together and put practice in and do well in the next one. But as more tournaments passed, I just realized like I never had time because of streaming, because of like all the managerial behind the scenes stuff for Tempo Storm. I just never have time to test. In 1 year of playing tournaments almost every weekend, the only time that I actually set aside time to test was for the stage 1 of the BlizzCon qualifiers. And I'm a player that needs a lot of preparation because the decks I play are usually like very like new meta, so I don't want to stream them ahead of time, so I can't get my testing done on stream, so I have to do it off stream. I have to set time aside to do that. So basically, after the first few lost tournaments, I just realized, you know, I'm just never going to have time to prepare, and I'll go to these tournaments just to like have fun and relax a bit, get away from streaming, but I never go into it expecting to like win most of the time because of my lack of preparation. So at this point, it's like I'm not really disappointed ever. It's just like almost expected because it's, you know, if a bunch of players put a bunch of time in, and in my honest opinion, though, even if they put time in, again, that gives them like a 5% edge, so it's not a huge deal. I feel like there are definitely times where I play badly and I deserve to lose because of it, but I also feel like there have been several tournaments where players play just abysmally just awful and win the tournament. So I also feel like
card games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I feel like for every player that has a really good streak of just tournaments and draws, I'm like the other end of that bell curve where I feel like I draw below average comparatively to other pros a lot of the time. And my tournament win rate isn't great, but it's like 46% or something. I don't know. It's like
I think it's.
Is it lower
around,
than that?
No, it's I think 49 the last time I checked.
It's like 50-50. Yeah, exactly. It's whatever. I think that's good considering if you actually specifically look at my VODs and like the matches I play, I don't feel like I make mistakes often. And I don't think that's just like me being full of myself. Like when I mess up, I'll admit it. But I feel like overall I make less mistakes than most other pros. And yeah, the draws just aren't there. Or sometimes the deck choice isn't there. It's just, yeah, it just doesn't come together sometimes. But
we recently actually talked to Kit Kats about how Tempo Storm is run and about you specifically, and he said that you're very proactive building decks. Like he said, Reynad comes like once a week and drops like 3 decks. We haven't seen him. So and you actually come from a Magic the Gathering background where you have like infinitely more cards, obviously. So like how much does Magic help you, like the Magic background help you building like outside of the meta decks for Hearthstone?
I mean, it gives me like 7 years of history to look back on, and just sometimes I try to port decks over from Magic. That's what I was doing in the beginning. I was like porting decks over from Magic to Hearthstone. Like when I made Warrior Aggro, I was trying to port Burn over to Hearthstone. Or when I made Aggro Rogue, the Sinister Strike Headcrack one that I played in my very first tournament, the show match against Savitz, that was like me just trying to port a straight mono red Burn deck. And like back then it mattered, but honestly Hearthstone's such a different game that those skills don't really apply anymore, or at least like there's nothing I can port from Magic anymore because Hearthstone's just so different. But it does give me like experience in terms of how to think about cards and synergies and what works and what doesn't. So I feel like at any given time I have like a few dozen ideas that almost nobody has played on ladder that I could just like throw out there, and that's what I do for the team. I will get some cool ideas that I don't want to stream. I'll screenshot them. I'll put them in team chat. I'll tell them, hey, I think this is really good against this stuff. You guys should try it out. And sometimes those decks are a huge hit, like Sludge Belcher Miracle, Sludge Belcher Hunter. Okay, like those decks. Those decks are obvious now, but back then, like nobody played that before Stage 1 BlizzCon qualifiers. Some of my handlock lists, like we made like Undertaker Voidcaller handlock, which was like some decks we go really deep on.
I actually tried something like this, but I was playing it during the Hunter dominant meta, and it didn't work just because like you set up something good and he Hunter's Mark and kills you, and you're like, okay, now I'm fucked, and I'm still Warlock and he's still Hunter. So.
Yeah, that was the problem with like the Dread Infernal list. That's always like the goal in Hearthstone, I think, is finding the Warlock deck that beats Hunter. Because if you can find a Warlock deck that beats Hunter, you beat everything. And right now, I think Handlock is that deck, and Zoo is also that deck some of the time. So Warlock is just broken right now. But yeah, like, that's what Kick-Ass meant. I just have ideas a lot of the time, and I just make some screenshots and put them in team chat. But I don't usually have the time to test them myself, so they're not usually very refined decks. Yeah.
Speaking of Tempo Storm, how do you manage and how do you recruit and scout for the team? Like, is it do you want more deck builders? Do you want, you know, players who will execute strategies perfectly or don't make mistakes? How is the process, you know? Because you just recently signed Kid Has. Obviously, he's been like big influence for Control Warrior. How does, you know, how did the team come together?
Well, basically, I decided, like, okay, HearthStone was really taking off back in, like, January, February, March, and I got offers from literally every major esports team that exists, because they all recognized Hearthstone's popularity. They all wanted to get into it, because what esports is it's a bunch of teams fighting over marketing budgets from sponsors. And if you have a team in Hearthstone and another team doesn't, you're more appealing to a sponsor, so you make more. So anyway, I had a bunch of offers to join team, like literally every major team, and I don't really like the idea of like working for anyone or having obligations. I'm just, part of it is laziness, but part of it is also just like I saw this as a chance to do something, to go like above and beyond in life, and I decided I wanted to make my own team. And because, you know, I mean, there was a time 10 years ago when teams didn't exist. Like, if Reggie could start from nothing and do it, then I could do it as well after like having all this history to look back on. So decided to make a team. After playing Magic, like the thing about playing Magic is, first of all, in Hearthstone there's a tournament maybe once every weekend, once every other weekend. In Magic you play like 4 tournaments a week, and you do it in person, so you see your opponent, like you see like 8 different opponents throughout the course of a day. So you're meeting like sometimes 50 or 100 new people in a week, and you get a kind of an eye for like what a like good player looks like, what a good player thinks like, just like their mannerisms, just how they play and approach card games. So I got kind of good in Magic at like, when you sit down and shake hands with your opponent, I would just like know if he's good or awful, more or less. And I just kind of ported that skill set of having an eye for good players to Hearthstone, and I looked back on VODs of a lot of the players or players that I played against on ladder. Like, first I approached Tides because we played against him before. I watched his stream. He was like he thought about the game so differently than me, but it was so much better for control decks than the way I approached playing it, that like the way his brain worked, I'm just like, okay, you know, this guy's a genius. I want this guy on my team. He's just an exceptional player, like one of the best in the world by far. So I approached Tides. We both happen to live in Minnesota, and Tides was like, yeah, sure, I'm in. He had other team offers too, but he says that he just said yes to me because we're both in Minnesota, apparently. So, yeah, and then Gara, I was talking about making a team on stream at the time, and Gara was a player I hadn't heard of at all. He was also a streamer trying to get into it. He was averaging like 20 viewers at the time, and he sent me a PM in Twitch where he said, hey man, I'm like rank 4 in Europe. I've been rank 1 for the past couple months as well. You should consider me for your team. So I looked back on his VODs and I watched for like 10 minutes of him playing Hunter. This was back when I thought Hunter was one of the best decks, but literally nobody else played it. Like, it was, you saw some rush Hunter at the low ranks, but you didn't really, like, Gara played like smart Hunter and he played it really well. So after watching his VODs for 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're definitely on the team. Like, he had, you know,
really, it got so quickly.
Yeah, and it's like really obvious when you see those, because the difference when I look at a player like Kalento versus a player like, just like any other pro, it's just like, it's night and day to me in terms of how they think about games. Anyway, then, all right, so Rekful, just a cool guy. I understand that so much about esports is about being marketable. Like, you don't just want good players, like, the reason you want good players is because they're on camera in tournaments, they get attention. But you also want, like, streamers? Yeah, you want popular personalities. And, like, Rekful wasn't just a really popular personality, but I legitimately thought that he was just, like, a genius. He just hadn't devoted extensive amounts of time to Hearthstone yet. And so I invited him onto the team, just, like, not in, like, an official contracted capacity where he's my employee. Like, Rekful makes way more than me. He doesn't need that shit. But I'm just like, yeah, man, you know, if you want to test with us and all that. He's been an awesome guy. Rekful was in, and he's honestly helped us with literal deck building. Like, when I played Oasis, Snapjaw, and DreamHack Summer, when we played Sludge Belchers and Hunter, that was Rekful's idea. He streamed, like, some people had tried it. Some people always have tried everything, but like Rekful, nobody played it on ladder. I hadn't seen it once until Rekful streamed it, and he went like 21 with it, or 20-1 with it on stream or something. Anyway, yeah, point is Rekful contributes a lot, and
why doesn't he go to tournaments actually? So, because we see all of you guys everywhere, but he's like off the tournament scene completely.
Yeah, he was actually, it's because he didn't stream for like 3 months, so he was just kind of out of the scene because he's just been doing real life stuff. Now he's like recently gotten back into streaming again, and he wanted to play in WCA, like the China event, and he actually got an invite to it, but he turned it down the first time until he like realized that, you know, it's an insane prize pool and it's a huge event, and he like asked to get back into it, but it was too late at that point. And I mean, yeah, Reckful's interested in tournaments. Any organizers see this, give him an invite. I'm sure he'll perform well. Yeah, so. And then,
Hyped,
Hyped. Hyped I played against on ladder since, like, before there was a ranking system a lot. And he's a player I just really respected on ladder, always high ranked, always played good decks. There wasn't, like, there's nothing that stood out to me about him because I couldn't watch him stream, so I never, like, watched him play from his perspective. But Reckful told me some stories about Hyped, how in, like, World of Warcraft, this guy was a god in terms of, like, there are players from World of Warcraft that people know about, Kungan, Reckful, all that, but, like, Hyped was the unsung hero who had accomplished the most insane things, and Reckful, like, explained them to me in detail, like, some of the threes games and all that, and just said that Hyped is the best video game player ever. So started talking to Hyped more, and I was like, you know, I could use one more person on the roster. Let's bring him on board. And that was because I couldn't watch games from his side. That was the decision I was least sure on. But it was a decision I was like absolutely the happiest with because Hyped is a super hardworking guy, super marketable, best looking HearthStone player in the game, and
no CVs.
Over Hyped. Come on. I think it's like Hyped Loth as a straight man.
Okay.
I think it's like Hyped Lothar.
Is Lothar because of the tattoos? Like,
or the mug, or Lothar's in.
the mug, yeah, the mug is substitute for.
Yeah. That thing is just like a wash between like Savit's, me, lots of people. I don't know. How do you think number 4?
It's me, lots of people.
Yeah. I think number 4 is fair. I don't know, man. All right. So yeah, I ended up going with Hype. And Kickats just got off of Curse, and the thing is, I had a full roster at this point, right? Like, sponsors don't care if I have 4 players or 20 players. They don't care. So I didn't need more people. And the big thing for me is, like, I'm a player myself, so I'm not going to try to put them on 1-year contracts without paying them anything. It's, like, really unfair to the players. So I started salarying before any team salaried, much more still than any team salaries, like, with, like, a couple exceptions for specific players. Like, so there's like a lot of money, point is, coming out of my pocket to salary players out of like my streaming revenue. And I wasn't getting anything back for them because I don't have sponsors yet or anything. So it didn't make sense for me to like sign another player and salary them. But anyway, Kickats just came off Curse. He was like, hey man, you know, I'm pretty well off from like Magic and poker and stuff. I just want some practice partners, you know, it'd be cool to be on the team and all that. I'm like, yeah, sure, Kickats is a fine player, and it doesn't cost me anything more, and it would help to have another mind on board. So brought Kickats on, and yeah, that's been going decently well. Like, he's a busy guy, so he doesn't practice with us much, and I feel like he doesn't listen to input as much as he should. But yeah, it's been a fine decision.
So you're obviously here at Viagame House Cup. You're playing today, I think, later. I'm not sure when this.
I can be more concise with answers, by the way. You're falling asleep already. I was just.
He's like, no, it's okay. He's like a strong German guy. Like, look at his hands.
Right.
So you're playing with TS.Reynad. Who else is in the group?
No, man. That Reynad guy's scary though.
The Reynad
Handsome
guy.
too. Yeah.
You think you can beat Reynad guy?
I don't know.
Like 50-50.
I think anyone can beat Reynad guy. That guy has some terrible RNG.
Yeah.
Faramir, I think, and Faramir and Mlasic, the Slovenian player.
Yeah, the Slovenian guy. So obviously, like, this is one of the tougher groups, I'd say. You're playing Mlasic first, I think, or
yeah.
So, how much do you know about him? Like,
absolutely nothing. I think we're both gonna ban Warlock because we're both competent Hearthstone players, and I think. I mean,
you can ban another thing.
If you ask me before any tournament, I always think I'm going to win. Because if I wasn't in that mindset, there would be literally 0 chance I won. Sometimes I felt really underprepared and I said I would do badly, but for this, I think I'm pretty well prepared. Like, all of my decks except... Like, my Paladin deck sucks, but to be fair, everyone's Paladin deck sucks because it's a Paladin deck. So then, other than that, I feel like my Hunter version is a very experimental one that we've been trying to make work over the past couple months. I almost played it at BlizzCon EU. But I don't think it's the best version. I think I should have played the double Cult Master Unleashed version. So yeah, oops. But aside from that, my other decks I think are great, and I think my Warrior deck's really sweet. So
We talked earlier to Faramir, and he said that this format actually helps, non-deck builders a lot because you have to, construct 9 different decks of 9 different classes. Do you feel like you actually have a better chance than compared to tournaments where you are, limited by like 4 deck slots?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's also just there's just more to it. Anytime you add stuff to do in a game, skill becomes more of a factor when it comes to cards because it's more chances to mess up. If they mess up in ban pick phase, if they mess up in one of their 9 decks they have to submit, like every one of those little things is just another small edge you get if you're a better player and you make better decisions. So I feel like just because it's increased complexity, yeah, I think skill's more represented in this format. But I also think it's Hearthstone. We literally played DreamHack on iPads, and literally anyone can win, regardless of how terribly they play. So I keep it realistic. Like I think a good player will win because there's 16 good players or whatever in this tournament. Yeah,
I think the invites have better chance than the qualified guys.
Yeah, they just have. The thing is with invites is they have more experience. Most of them have more experience with just tournament format. Yeah. Well, not just being on stage, but like playing tournaments. Because a lot of times when you play online cups, you're playing like best of 3 format where only 2 of your decks will ever matter. I mean, there were months like leading up to DreamHack Summer where the winner of every online tournament could literally only play Hunter or Rogue, and every other class they were terrible at. And it's just like there are still players like that where they're only comfortable with a few classes because that's all they've ever needed to play for online tournaments. Whereas the invited players have been doing this for months. They're more used to like having to play classes like Shaman, Priest, all that. So yeah.
Okay, I think we can bring this to a wrap after like what seems like a 30 minutes of nice chat. Now we love these kind of interviews. So just at the end, your predictions for the tournament after obviously you win the group, and said like obviously Tides wins the group, so you two meet in the finals because this will happen. So you beat him like in the finals. He's not wearing socks. I mean, he's like pretty boss about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Normally, I think I would beat. I don't know. The Tides has started off so weird. First, I was like 3-0 lifetime against Tides because I would just play aggro, and Tides disrespected it, and I would just shit on him. And now I'm like 0-2 or 0-3 in the past few sets against Tides because Tides has started to respect aggro more, and he plays it himself now. And
Has he brought any aggro to?
Yeah, he's playing my Sweet Warrior deck. You'll see it. But yeah, I think if he was playing like normal crappy Armorsmith Warrior, oh man, I would 5-0 him. But yeah, no, we're playing like the same deck, so I don't think anyone has a huge edge. Yeah.
This is Reynad. I was Nether from GosuGamers. Thanks for the interview, man.
Anytime.